Hello, and welcome to all the books I read in 2023. So in this video, I'll be giving you a brief synopsis of the book I read and whether or not I would recommend that you read the book. The first book I read was The Last Summit of the Garrett Girls, and my cousin actually got this book for me, and I would recommend this book. I rated it 3 stars. It's really good, happy, quick, fun read. The next book I read was Looking for Alaska. It's about these group of friends that go to a boarding school together, and something happens to one of them and they try to figure out as to why it happened. The next book I read was Where You Once Belonged, and I gave it 2 stars. I would not recommend this one. It's about this guy who people thought he did something, so he left the town, and then he comes back many years later. It's about him trying to inaugurate it back into the town, if I remember correctly. I didn't really like this book. The next book I read was Eleanor Park. I don't think I'd recommend that one either, unless you're really into it, I guess, which doesn't make sense. I'm not sure if I would recommend it or not, sorry. It's about this girl named Eleanor and this guy named Park, and they're in high school, I believe, and it's about how they fall in love. Their wealth status is very different between the two, so it's about battling between that and how their families are set up. Next book I read was Red Sparrow, and I read this one because the film has Jennifer Lawrence in it, and I love the Hunger Games series, and so I wanted to read this one. This is my first type of book reading that is like this. I'm not sure I'd recommend it. I guess I'd recommend it if you love mystery spy things and you also like Jennifer Lawrence, so you could watch the film as well. But it was not the best. I think the driving force, that's the reason why I kept reading it and why I liked it, was because Jennifer Lawrence. But it wasn't bad. I loved the details that the author went into, and also every chapter he offers different recipes, and so that was really cool. Next book I read was An Elderly Lady is Up to No Good, and I would definitely recommend that one. That one was so fun. This book is about an old lady who commits crimes, and you follow her through what she's doing, and it's hilarious. I love it. The next book I read was The Vanishing Half, and it's about these 2 twin sisters that are poor, and they move away one year, go get jobs, and one of them vanishes, or one of them really runs away, and one lives their life passing as a white person, and the one continues as they are. And it's about how the twins come to find each other again, and they see how much different their life is. The next book I read was Ugly Love, and I would say definitely check the trigger warnings before reading this one. I believe I read this book in one sitting, if I'm sure. I could be wrong, but I read this book pretty quickly, as it is obviously short too. It's about 300 pages long, so it's not long at all either. I thought it was pretty good. I know a lot of people either love or hate the author. I only read 2 books from her, but it was pretty good. It's sad, as you probably get by the Ugly Love. It's about this girl who moves somewhere, and then it's this girl who moves near her brother because she's going to nursing school, I think it is, and her brother's best friend lives in the same apartment building, and they fall in love. The next book I read was Who I Was With Her. This book was really cute and really sad. I would recommend it. It's about this girl who's in high school and she plays track. And there's another girl in high school, of course, who plays track as well, but for a different school. And they meet each other and they actually end up dating. And the one girlfriend dies. And the main character, it's about her mourning her girlfriend, but she's not out to anyone. So it's about her mourning her girlfriend, but not being able to talk about it with anyone or get any help from anyone because, no one knows. Next book I read was The Ocean at the End of the Lane. It's my first 5-star read of the year. I would definitely recommend it. It's by the author who wrote Coraline, so that's what really pulled me in. It definitely has Coraline elements in it, but it's totally different from Coraline, but I would definitely recommend it. It's really good. It's about this guy who is going to his hometown for a funeral, and then he gets transported back into his childhood, and he remembers everything that happens and all the crazy magical things that happened where he is. Next book I read was All Systems Red. I would definitely recommend this one as well. It was really fun. It's in the POV of a murder bot. This murder bot follows around these scientists on this different planet to make sure that they're safe as they do their science things. And it's about how like this robot sneaks off and watches TV shows even though he's not supposed to, because that's a human thing. It's all in his point of view, and it's really funny. The next book I read was The Keeper of Lost Things. Please do not read this book. Save yourself from reading it. I know that some people read it obviously from the reviews, from looking at Goodreads, but please, no, do not read it. Save yourself. No thank you. I did finish it though, but I would not recommend. The next book I read was Maisie Dobbs, and this book was really cool. It's set during World War II, I believe, and it's about this girl who, she's like a, what's the word? I can't remember. It's like people that, it's like a lot of people, that's not the word out, but you know, those people when she like trying to solve a mystery. It was a very terrible description of the book, but I would recommend it. It was pretty good. The next book I read was News of the World, and it's about this guy after the Civil War who is trying to take this girl home to her family because she got taken by people. The next book I read is Where'd You Go, Miss Bernadette. That book was really funny, really good. The book follows a mom and how she goes missing and the family is trying to find her. And it's really good, and it's also a movie, and the movie is pretty good as well. The next book I read was And There He Kept Her. It's like a serial killer type of book, but it was not good. The next book I read was Ellen Knows. It's about this mom whose daughter dies and the police rolled it off as a suicide, and mom was like, no, she didn't kill herself because I know her. And so it's about her trying to figure out what actually happened to her daughter. The next book was Daisy Jones and the Six, and this book is set out like a script. And I was so excited when the show came out for it because, you know, I had read the book. And the show was amazing, the book was amazing. I would totally recommend it. Next was Red, White, and Royal Blue. And again, the movie just came out recently and I just watched it. So I recommend this book as well. It was really cute. The book is about the Prince of England and the son of the president and how they fall in love. The next book I read was Other Birds. It was pretty cool. It's about this girl who moves to her mom's old place that she owns, but her mom's currently passed away, and she has a pet bird that no one else can see. Next book I read was Crave. It was really cool. It's known as like a spin-off of the Twilight series, and it was actually really cool. I loved the high school magic setup of it, and I would recommend it, and I do plan on finishing the series, although I had to stop it for a bit, but it was really good and I would recommend it. The next book was a really funny book called Everyone in My Family Has Killed Someone. It's everyone in this guy's family has killed someone, and they're on like this trip in the mountains where it snows and someone dies and they try to figure out which family member killed this person. The next book is called Ninth House, and it was really good. I would recommend reading it. It's a dark academia book set at Yale where there are these different houses, but there's an extra ninth house that has like magic and they like protect people. Next book I read was The Haunting of Hill House, and now my cousin and I are huge fans of the Haunting of Hill House shows, like all of them. And so we read this book. This book, just for warning, this book is very different than the show, but it's still the same setup, but it's very different at the same time. The next book was Butcher and the Wren. It's about this serial killer and this girl who is a detective, and this girl who works at the morgue and is trying to help the police find the serial killer. The next book I read was Turtles All the Way Down, and it was really cute. It's about this girl, I believe she's in high school, and I believe she has like ADHD and anxiety, and it's about her navigating her life with having these two things and connecting with an old friend. And it's really good, and it connected with me on so many levels, and I would recommend it. Next book I read was The Empress of Salt and Fortune. I would not recommend it. It's really short though, so if you want a really short fantasy read, I would recommend reading this one. I can't remember for sure all what happened in it, but I remember not really liking it, so I give it 2 stars. The next book is called The River Keep, and I gave this one 5 stars, so I would obviously really recommend it. It reminds me of like Lord of the Rings and Dungeons and Dragons, that type of deal if you love that fantasy type of stuff. It's about this boy who is son of the River Keep, and they protect the river and everything. And his dad gets possessed type of deal with this guy, and it's about him going through the motions of trying to save his father as well as still trying to keep the lights lit on the river. Next book, The Stranger Diaries. It was pretty good. I would recommend it. It's about this girl who is a teacher at the school, and she's obsessed with this old writer who used to live like at the top of the school, and someone gets killed and they use her diaries as evidence to try and figure out why the person died. The next book I read was The Looking Glass. It was pretty good. I think I liked it because it was set in the point of view of a ballerina, and I used to be a ballerina, so I liked that element of it. But other than that, I didn't really like it. There's like a magical element in it, but they never did anything with it, and there's no resolution with the magical element, so they didn't need it. And it's about this girl whose sister goes missing, and she tries to find out where she went to reconnect with her. The next book I read was The Raven Boys, and it's part of their Raven Boys series. It was really good. I plan on finishing it eventually. It was, again, really, really good. I would recommend it. It's about this girl whose mom is a psychic. That's the word I was looking for earlier. Who is a psychic, and all of her family have like psychic power type of deal things, and they know that they should stay away from the Raven Boys that go to like the Raven school because they're like not good. And she is told by her family that if she kisses her true love, they will die. And she befriends the Raven Boys and looking for a god to where he is buried. The next book I read was The Alchemist. It was pretty good. I don't know if I would recommend it or not, but it was cute. It's by this guy who is a shepherd, and he ends up selling his sheep to follow his dream because he's visited by this like godlike being, I guess. I forget for sure. And he travels across the desert. Next book I read was Paper Towns. I did not like this one by John Green, which is kind of sad, but I think this one has a movie as well that I still need to watch. But it was okay. I feel like some of his girls that he portrays are kind of becoming like the same like girl, and I feel like this book doesn't really have much connection, and the main reader like chasing this girl who like ran away, didn't really make sense to me because they had no connection really. But if you really like John Green, I would read it. Like, I read it because I love John Green. I don't know if it's one of his like first books that he wrote, and that's why it's not that great, but yeah. And the next 3 books I read were the Hunger Games series, and I reread these books every single year, and they are all 5 stars to me. I love it so much, and I would highly recommend them all. Next book I read was called The Namesake. This book was so cute, and I loved it so much. It's about this girl who moves to America to marry someone, and it's first it's the point of view of her, and then it's the point of view of her husband, then it's the point of view of their child, following what it's like being immigrants in America. And the next book I read was The Last House on Needless Street. I would definitely recommend this one. Now, I did not like the beginning at all, and I didn't think I would like it, but as I read it, it got better and better and better, and the ending was just so great to me. Because at first, the only reason why that pulled me through being excited to read it was how the point of view switches in the book, and at some points there's a point of view of the cat, and that was the point I always looked forward to. But towards the end, I was loving it, and it was great. It's another mystery type of book where they're looking for who killed this girl's sister. The last book I read this year was The Girl Who Fell Beneath the Sea. I gave this book 4 stars. For me, it was pretty close to 5 stars, but I don't know why it wasn't. I don't really have like a reason why there is a 5 star. Like, I have no criteria met. I just feel it, you know? And this one, I feel like it was very close to being a 5 star, and I have no reason as to why it is not a 5 star, so it might change to a 5 star at some point, but it was really good. It gives Studio Ghibli or Studio Ghibli vibes. I don't know how to pronounce it for sure. It's about this girl in this town who gets flooded, so they sacrifice a girl every year to the god of the sea, who is the highest ranking god in the world they live in. And it's about this girl who tries to save her town because her brother's girlfriend is going to be sacrificed, but she sacrifices herself instead, and she gets thrown into this spirit world, and she tries to save her town. Those were the 39 books I read in 2023. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye bye!